Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. And this is the next installment of our grand final frenzy. We're off to Sydney Harbour with the guys from the Action Fishing Tournaments for their grand final, which was held on the 27th of October 2024 out of Woolwich. Anyway, this was a great little round. I was lucky enough to get along to it. Get a reasonable result. So let's roll the intros and I'll tell you all about it.
Welcome to the Bream Fishing Project. This is where you need to be every Tuesday to find out all the latest tips and tricks to help you target bream on lures. You'll get to hear from some of Australia's elite bream competition anglers and see how they were able to achieve their results in competitions around the country. Now, here is your host, the 2019 Hobie Kayak Fishing World Champion, Andrew Deeth.
All right. So first up, the second installment of the Bream Fishing Project tournament shirts is about to arrive. We've got these. We've deleted the microphone as it was somewhat inappropriately placed. Having said that, I have a couple of the originals left just in XXL and 4XL. So if you're looking for those, happy to pass them on. All the shirts are $50, including the old ones, the collector's edition, microphone edition, as well as the new ones, $50 plus postage if that's required. Anyway, if you've had emails on that, I'm going to send another email. Once those people have responded or not responded, then I'm going to open up the shirts to the rest of the public. And there's a limited supply. So if there's something you're looking for, jump straight on it. They're a great shirt. They, in terms of keeping the sun off and being comfortable, definitely my favorite shirts. Same as the Hobie series ones and the ones out of Hunter Water Sports. But all in all, comfortable to wear, and at this point at $50, very economical. I'm telling you now, they won't be that price again. All right, second thing, last week I announced the fundraiser program with the Fly program based on helping guys out with mental health with preventative measures. So over the next week or so, actually not week, next month or so, I'm going to keep posting the link on my socials, more on probably Facebook than Instagram. If you can't find that link or you need any help with that, just shoot me a message and I will help you find a way to contribute to the cause. It's really important. You know, we lose guys all the time, and this is one way that we might be able to help save a couple and give them the tools that they need to get through the hard times. All right, so the Fly program, if you've had any troubles with it, just reach out to me. Okay, let's get through the stats and things and we'll get into the angler interviews. So there's, like I said in the beginning, 27th of October 2024, we had 39 in the fish activity wheel, a major bite period at 7:44 through to 10:14 a.m. High tide was at 6 a.m. and low was at 11:43 at 0.61. And what I neglected to say about the high tide was 6 a.m. at 1.19 meters because I didn't write it down. Anyway, let's get into the angler interviews. Here we go. Okay, so up first in third place, we have an angler dropping 3 fish measuring 34, 38.5, 36, which gave him a total of 108.5. And third place, I'd like to welcome to the Bream Fishing Project, Ben Pearce. Welcome, mate.
Hey, Andrew. Thanks, mate. Good to be here.
It is, mate. It is. Like I was saying before we hit record, mate, it was a nice day down there and you got a good result.
Yeah, it was beautiful on the water and everything just worked, basically. So had a plan, stuck to it, and yeah, everything came through.
Yeah. Like I said, we were talking before and you got a bunch more fish than what I got. So, mate, I'm pretty keen to get into it. But what we might do is start with pre-fishing. Tell us, did you get a chance to get out and have a look around before the comp?
Yeah, I fished the area 3 times, I think. So I was out, I think it was the weekend before on the Saturday, and that was when the East Coast Bream guys were out pre-fishing, I think. So
yeah,
I chatted to a few of those guys, and they all seemed to say they were struggling a bit. But one place that I had fished a couple of times was around Spectacle Island, and everywhere I'd fished otherwise, like Lane Cove, all the way to Goat Island, Iron Cove, might have got a couple of fish, but nowhere near the numbers I got round Spectacle. So
yeah,
that was pretty much my plan. I do a fair bit of fishing, and I knew that the bream were up in shallows already. So yeah, I sort of dialed in on that basically.
Okay. So if they're in the shallows, what was your sort of go-to techniques or lures?
I was basically fishing a rocky sort of shallow reef sort of thing. So I was using pretty much exclusively just little atomic cranks, crank 38 in the deep. I had the shallow on, or the mid one, and that was bouncing across the bottom. But when it was coming off the edge, I wasn't getting the depth, so I put the deep one on and was just bouncing that in about 30 or 40 centimetres and, yeah, working it off the edge. There's a whole lot of rock ledges around there that, yeah, just if the water's over them, the brim are up there.
Yeah, nice. All right. Well, mate, what was it? Sunday morning, mate. We're all out there bright and early.
Yeah.
Tell us how your day went.
It was good. We launched and heading out. Well, actually, with Spectacle Island, I didn't think I was going to be able to fish there. The email sort of said it was a no-go zone, but in the briefing, we were basically told if you're going to fish there and security tell you to bugger off, just go. So
Yep.
I took that as a green light that Spectacle was okay unless you get told by security. So once we launched, I headed straight in that direction. There were probably 6 or 7 other guys heading in the same direction, and I was thinking, oh, please don't stop. And I peeled off to Spectacle and they kept going, I think, down towards Birkenhead and Iron Cove and stuff like that. So I basically got to the island at, I don't know, probably 10, 6:15 and had 3 fish before 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
I laugh because I was still paddling.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the other thing. I think I'm the only guy who still uses a paddle kayak.
Oh, you're in the Viking.
Yeah, so I'm in the Viking. Everyone else is in the Hobies, and I've got a compass in the backyard, but I've only just got that, and I fished the entire series in the Viking, and even though I had the compass, I wanted to finish it in the Viking sort of thing.
Yeah.
Even though the Viking does decent speed and it's nice and easy to paddle, I'd rather maximise fishing time and just get somewhere close if I know there's fish there.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. Do you have a sounder on the Viking?
Yeah.
And do you know what sort of speed you do in it?
I think I get a comfortable sort of 6K sort of thing, maybe a bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I come from a kingy fishing background, so fishing offshore around Malabar and stuff. That's why I've got the Viking. But yeah, now that I'm starting to do the Bream thing, I thought I better buy a Hobie.
Yeah.
Next year, that'll be coming out.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, very nice. And look, you should get your 6Ks out of most of your Hobies reasonably comfortably anyway.
Yeah.
And faster, depending on how hard you want to burn your legs.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've had the compass out a couple of times. Or I had it out on the Saturday before the comp just for a little bit of a spin, and yeah, it feels pretty comparable. The compass having that pointier front end, it actually cuts through the water really nicely.
Yeah, nice. All right, let's go back to the fishing. So you had a bag of fish really early. What did they come on initially?
All on the atomic crank. Everything was on that. I think the first fish was probably only a 28. Second one, I don't know how big it was because I got it on the mat and it flipped straight off back into the water. And I'm thinking, oh, here we go again, because that happened to me up at, where was it? Up at Woy Woy, I think, or one of the other comps. And I ended up with one fish and I lost a 36 straight over the side because I didn't get the photo before it flipped off. I was thinking, don't do this to me again. Didn't really matter too much because after that, I had another 2 fish relatively quickly, all up in the shallow, like in 30 centimetres of water. Yeah, wow. And then it was just, from there on, it was just looking for upgrades, which came pretty quickly. I think I had the bag that I weighed in, I had by between 9 and 9:30.
Really? Okay, so you had a relatively early bite. You got a 38.5 in there, which is not quite a kilo, but probably a 900 grammer or something like that.
Yeah, so that one didn't come on that little reefy bit. It came around the other side of Spectacle. There's a rock wall, and I noticed all the ferry, when the wake hit it, there was like a drain bit where it had all the water had sort of rushed back out. And I'm like, oh, it just looks like ocean waves and like a gutter. I threw the crank into there, so it was still on the same lure, brought that out, and I must have been sitting in 3 or 4 metres, and I saw the brim swim straight up and just nail it right near the yak.
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah, that was a bit of a surprise one.
And that was the bigger fish?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. All right. So if that's 9:30 and you've got your fish, you've got 2.5 hours to go. What else did you do with your time?
I did 2 laps of the island, basically just drifting around it. Kept getting fish, got a couple of whiting up to about 40 centimetres.
Wow.
But I was trying to get rid of that 34 and just couldn't find anything. I did get busted off by one that felt really solid. That was under the big wharf there. I was right up next to it. I cast in probably 3 pylons deep, watched the crank. This was on a cranker crab, watched it hit and just thought, that is a good cast, but if I hook up, I've got maybe 5% chance of getting it out. Yep. And it just took off like a freight train and there was nothing I could do. That was on a 10-pound sort of setup and a really stiff rod, and I just couldn't stop it, and it just took me round the pole and busted me off.
Ouch.
Yeah. Kept getting fish the whole time until I think it was about 10:30 or something. I moved over to Cockatoo and didn't get another fish over there.
Right.
Yeah.
So that rounded out your fishing. With the Crank 38, what colour are you running?
Either ghost gill or muddy prawn. I had muddy prawn on it first, and then I did get busted off by one on an oyster sort of thing, and then I went to the ghost gill. And I usually use a sticky weight on them just so they suspend more than just float straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Get a bit more casting distance out of them as well. Yeah, I really like that on the atomic cranks.
Yeah, 100%. And what sort of line or sort of leader were you running around the edges of the island?
I think it was 8-pound braid, and I had 5-pound to start off with. And then when I got busted off, I switched to another rod that had 6-pound on it. So was running with 6-pound after that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, mate, that sounds like a pretty good day. You definitely caught more fish than I caught, and that showed in the results. Yeah, you were just, as I'm sure you know, you're like 2.5 centimetres off the winning bag.
Yeah, I looked at that and I just thought, it wasn't much in it. Get rid of that 34, but yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Like a 30, you probably needed a 38 to be fair. 36, 37. Yeah, and that would have got you home.
Yeah.
But not to be. All right. I reckon that covers the fishing pretty well. Tell us, do you remember what you got to take home for 3rd place in the final?
Yeah, so it was 300 cash, which is awesome. And the Shimano...
Incentia?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that rod, which I've used twice already. So I picked that up yesterday in the comp, and I've used it this morning before work and after work, and it's beautiful. It just really nice rod. Yeah, really happy with that one.
Okay, and caught fish for you already?
It has. So a couple of flatties this morning and this afternoon.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, well, I reckon that is pretty good. Now, last thing before we shoot off, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Oh, look, definitely Warwick and Craig for putting this series on. It's just been so much fun to do all year. The sponsors, Shimano for that rod, like that's awesome sort of thing. Yourself for this podcast, because being relatively new to brim fishing, like I've caught them in the past, but it's only this year that I've actually started targeting them. The amount I've gained just listening, like every time there's a comp somewhere, I'm just going through the episodes looking for one that's relevant sort of thing. Yeah, it's been awesome. And last of all, my wife for giving me the time. Like I probably fish between 10 or 12 times a week, once or twice on the kayak, but yeah, before and after work, it's wake up half hour beforehand and then unwind half an hour afterward. Yeah. She puts up with that, so that's good.
Very nice. I was going to say, if you can fish that sort of amount, I'll be talking to you again next year for sure. That sort of time on the water, there's nothing better than that for getting better at catching fish.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's land-based, but it's knowing about the fish. I knew the fish were up in the shallows because just every afternoon targeting different areas, you kind of find where they are and work out the patterns.
Yeah, which is interesting because in my mind, they weren't in the shallows.
Yeah, okay.
And you obviously did. I mean, your bag was better, but you also caught a lot more fish than what I caught. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, Ben, mate, it has been a pleasure to have a chat with you, and I hope we get to have a talk to you again soon. So thanks for coming on.
No worries, mate. Been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Okay, fishing.com.au, your one-stop bream lure and tackle shop. Pick up the latest bream tackle, including Muscle Vibes, Cranker Crabs, OSP bent minnows, Z-Man plastics, Eco Gear lures, and Dyra rods, reels, and tackle. Same-day shipping. Shop where the world champion, the Australian champion, and the current ABT champion shops. Fishing.com.au, online or in-store at shop 18/29 Kiora Road, Miranda. Now, jumping on the page, there's a couple of things that caught my eye. The Hurricane Twitch 66 Shallow Rattle Ball Extreme. It's a mouth ball, but it does look like a very cool little lure. And during the collective, we had a discussion with Peter Nord, and he told us where you can use this to catch some fish right now. And you Hobie guys, you're going to be really interested in this. Anyway, also Dizzy Scent, front and center, 30 mil. It looks like we've got the UV prawn at $12.99. And also for you bent minnow fans, it is the time of year. It looks like they've got bent minnow replacement trebles back in stock, which is sometimes hard to get. So jump on those while they're there. And last thing before we move off is the Cranker Crab in heavy, and the UV glow one, the new one, has been walking out the door, so to speak. So as with all things Cranker Crab, you want to get those while you can. So jump over to fishing.com.au. Okay, so up next in second place, I have a regular on the Bream Fishing Project. He dropped his 3 fish for 34.5, 40.5, which was big bream for the competition, 35.5, which gave him a total of 110.5 centimeters, just 5 millimeters from the first place. I have Joshua Richards. Welcome back to the show, mate.
Thanks, man. How are you going?
Mate, I'm going well, but once again, as usual, not quite as good as you.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but we all have our good and bad, don't you?
Yeah, well, mate, we've had quite a number of chats now in the last few weeks, really.
Yeah.
And mate, it just seems to be a very consistent run for you, and we're gonna get into why in just a moment. So
yeah, that's it.
All right. So let's talk about, leading into the competition, tell us about pre-fishing, what you did to get ready for it.
I pretty well pre-fish 2 weekend before, just a daytime. One day I went up past the Harbour Bridge, had a look around, caught fish up high on pontoon, and we're just seeing them around. They were everywhere.
Yeah.
Every pontoon I went to, every boat I went to, they were there. But nothing massive, but they were there. That whole mid 30 centimeter fish would do a normal fish for the day.
Right.
It's still a good fish, but there was nothing I didn't get a donkey out of them. They were all that same 30, 35 centimeter fish.
Yeah.
And then last weekend I went up and I pre-fished around Gladesville, down toward Hen and Chicken, that area, the main river.
Yeah.
So more upriver. And the same again, every boat I went to would have 3, 4, 5, 10 bream sitting underneath it. It was unreal. But then I was noticing a lot of fish put up on the edge, chasing little glassies around and little prawns around that were just clear.
Okay.
They were tiny.
Yeah.
With heaps of salmon, king, tailor, everything pushing up. But if you could get your lure and run it off the kelp, there was some good fish sitting in the kelp and they just come out and nail it.
Right.
That's the main river though, so you had to deal with everyone.
Yeah.
Just a bit more annoying, especially in a kayak.
Yeah, and river cats and what have you. And
yeah, pretty well. On the Saturday before the comp, so the day before, I went up the Lane Cove and had a look around.
Yeah.
And same again, every boat hole I pedal past would have anywhere from like 3 or 4 to like one boat hole, I reckon I had 20 bream on it.
Right.
It was unreal.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, caught that 30 centimeter fish, heaped, and then got railed by one absolute donkey that I couldn't stop.
Yep.
But other than that, it would just been fun fishing.
Yeah. Okay. So
Like-
it sounds like you've had a good time. So before we get into the comp, you must have some tips first. Like there was people out there that didn't catch fish on the day, and you're saying there's lots around. You got any tips for anyone?
I'm not a big boat and pontoon fisher. Like I don't really like it. I just fished really light plastic mainly.
Yeah.
So from like a 1/40th on a gold crabby, like what everyone else does.
Yeah.
But I was throwing the new hurricane prawn, whatever it is.
At 70? No.
What? Yeah, I forget the name of it. It's only been out for like a week anyway, or whatever, 2 weeks. But that in the sickle color, so it's like a clear.
Yeah.
And I painted some jig head a couple of weeks ago, which I normally do, but I was just running low. And the UV orange belly just add to the prawn, and it looked unreal.
Okay.
And being a 1/28th on them, because they're buoyant, they barely sink. So all I was doing was just twitching it in front of their face and just leaving it there.
Right.
And your lure would barely sink, like really, really slow. And then your line would just slowly take off, and the fish had picked it up. That's it.
Wow.
But then again, on Saturday, fishing the Lane Cove, I went to a resin head, so it had no weight at all.
Yeah.
To the point where like the resin even broke off the head, and I was just using the bare hook
Ah.
on like golf, just sitting them there, like legit bait fishing.
Yeah, but you also, it sounds like if you're fishing boats and pontoons, that means that your lure's hanging right in that top, or in that zone.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's probably a tip right there. And the other thing is, as you said, you're painting your jig heads. Now, a lot of people won't know what that process is.
Yeah. The thing that came around probably, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, got really big.
Yeah.
And now you can't even find paint anywhere, really. It's really hard to find. But yeah, it's just a powder, and it's like a powder coating. So you heat your jig head up with a lighter, heat gun, whatever.
Yeah.
And you just dip your lead into it, and then you heat it up again, and it hardens. It's like a powder coat.
Yeah.
All my jig heads get painted in a watermelon or a brown or a motor oil, whatever I have, my normal one. And then all my hidden weights get painted in bright orange.
In bright orange.
Yeah.
Right. And the brand that you're using, is it the Tempt one?
Mine is not.
Okay.
I think Atomic bought out
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, I think Atomic bought it, and that's the one I still have.
Okay.
I still have my original Temp orange one.
Yep.
That I've taken to like many comps away with all the boys. I just throw it on the table and be like, hey, you want to paint some jig head? Go for it.
Yeah.
And I've gone through maybe a third of it.
That's right.
Like, you don't go through it.
Yeah.
But after putting a post up the other day that I painted it, because I painted probably 15 or 20 packers to restock everything. Could have been it'd been probably a year since I painted jig head.
Yeah.
And I got asked that question a lot. Like, what is it? Like this and that. Like, where do I buy it? And I was like, I haven't seen it for sale in ages. Like, no one seemed to stock it anymore. I think Temp is still around.
Yeah.
And you can buy from them. But again, I'm not 100% sure. Could I just haven't even looked?
Yeah, okay. Interesting. All right. Let's get into comp day, mate. Tell us how you went about catching these big fish again.
Well, as I set up 3 different areas in the river, in saying that, I knew I was not going to fish any of them.
Okay.
My plan was to go pedal up straight up underneath the Headlack Bridge and fish Roseville Bay, I think it's called, or whatever it is, something like that, with the bay right up the back near the fish market.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bay that I like to fish. I've caught a lot of big fish out of there. They can be very picky and hard to get, but there is good fish in there.
Yeah, right.
And it's not a place that a lot of people know. And it was like, I think like 7 or 8 K from where we started. So in a short comp, no one's going to be pushing that far.
That's right.
Unless you're confident.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't want to push into the Lane Cove with 20 other people.
Yeah.
Or try and fish the main river with 20 other people. I wanted fresh water away from everyone.
Yeah.
Where I can just chill out and have a kind of have a fun day.
Yeah, I was going to say, mate, you would have had a whole place to yourself, I'd imagine.
I did. I didn't see anyone. I think on the way up, I didn't see anyone. No one headed that way. On the way back, I came across James probably halfway back. But again, like halfway to where I went.
Yeah, okay.
And the problem is, to pedal that far, there's nothing, probably where James would probably the last bit that you'd want to fish until you get right up into the back of the bay. So you're pedaling 3K for nothing to fish a bay that is not really big.
Yeah, okay, I'll put that up. So that's what you mean.
Yeah. So I came underneath the Anzac Bridge and I fished all the boats on the right, Roselle Bay.
Yeah, so that's a bunch of marinas and boat moorings and what have you.
The first couple, like a new marina.
Yep.
But from about where, say, Roselle Bay to the left, is all old, work boats and just old stuff.
Yeah, nice.
So they're all old barges and that. And every one of my good fish came off like a side cast up to the point where I couldn't even see my lure between them.
Okay.
And I was just lucky enough that everyone, because they're only a barge, they only sit 300 mil in the water. They're not real deep. And every one of them just swam straight out to me. It was good. It was luckily, otherwise it could be anyone game in there.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, okay, so what did you use to target at them then?
I mainly used the hurricane prawn. That was what I caught all my bigger fish on. Just, floating it down, twitching it in front of the face. And because it doesn't sink real fast, I can twitch it 2 or 3 meters along a barge that's just sitting under the surface. So it's handy with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I did get fish on gulp crabbies and stuff like that as well. Just as anyone else would, fishing that on a 128.
Okay.
Up in there, the river does not run hard. You don't get a lot of tide movement. You don't get that fast flowing water. It's very still.
Yeah.
So you can fish a unweighted plastic perfectly fine.
Right. With the skimp, now their tail section comes in a bit that you can leave in one piece or you can rip it.
Yep.
What'd you do with that?
Being truthful, I would use the exact same lure that I used last weekend.
Yep.
And it would rip apart. I caught kingfish, I caught tailor on it, I caught everything. And I'm pretty sure the tail ripped in half and then one half ripped off.
Right, okay.
So, yeah, I didn't even put a new one on.
Yeah, wow.
I just grabbed the old one that was there.
Yeah, wow. And tell us, how did your fish come? Did you get them early or late? I mean, I guess you must have paddled for an hour and a half, more or less.
Yeah, I paddled for, about an hour. I think I got up there 8:05.
Yep.
So the first few boats, I caught a couple fish off, nothing great. And the one good fish came a bit later in the day, but I had the 335. It was a 35, a 35, 34, 33, 34, 34. That's what it was like.
Yeah.
I think I caught 2 small fish, but the rest were over 30 centimeters. And then the one bigger fish came a bit later.
Yeah.
But in saying that, a bit later was 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I only fit an hour and a half up there. And then I didn't feel real great. So I started to pedal back early and it made it back to where I seen James.
Yeah, right.
Stopped and fit there for a little bit and then pedaled back at the launch at, I think the boys said 10 to 11 or something. It was 11 o'clock. I was back early.
Right.
I didn't feel great, yeah.
Well, that's not good.
No.
Good. You got obviously good results, but yeah.
Yeah, no. It is what it is. But it was worth it. The pedal up there to only fit a couple of hours and then pedal back was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, mate, I reckon that probably covers all the fishing. What leaders were you running for the day?
I was running Chinook Harris 6 pound. Normally, I find they're kind of leader shy. Normally.
Yeah.
But the last couple of weekends, I don't know why, the water had been pretty clear and it was pretty clear, but they weren't worried.
Okay.
I was fishing 8 pound on Saturday and still getting fish. They didn't care.
I mean, part of that could be your presentation, your flow presentation.
That, yeah, could be.
Yeah, they just get to look at it for quite a long time.
Yeah, and a lot of them would it might sit there for 20 seconds before I get a hit. And I'd be like, oh, that looked like quite deep under that, but it's obviously not because there's no weight to it. But yeah, then the line would just slowly move off, and there was no tick in the line, there was no big hit. They would just pick it up, and everyone would pinned in the back of their throat, like they'd swallowed it.
They'd swallowed it, so they'd really wanted it.
Yeah.
Did you run any scent for the day?
Nothing at all. Nothing. Oh, obviously half the time fishing a gulp.
Yeah.
And then the other half, no, nothing at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other things that you think about, like usually I'll be like, okay, if you're going to sit it there for a long time, they're going to inhale it. It must have scent all over it, but obviously not.
No. Obviously, if I needed to or I weren't getting the hit, then yeah. I found on Saturday in the Lane Cove, by the end of the day, they were a bit, how are you going?
Yeah.
Obviously, by the end of the day, it was like 12 o'clock, the sun was completely up. And I found them sitting on the side with the sun, mainly. They were sitting in the sun, like sunbaking while they were feeding.
Right.
Obviously, the water it's not really, really warm. I think it was like 20 degrees.
Yeah.
But like even the temp is not really hot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found them sitting on that side, and I couldn't get them on anything except for a tick minnow at the end of the day because they were on 3 pound because they would shy off everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the presentation when it comes down to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff there. And when the stick minnow, which one are you talking about?
I couldn't even tell you, to be honest. I have like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah. So a resin one, basically. It's not a soft plastic.
No, a plastic one.
Oh, a soft plastic.
No. It's like a hard plastic. It's not resin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard plastic. And they're the one that came from the Bream Project thing. So I think Dave from Tackle Addiction supplied them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not aware of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure what brand they are at, but I think that's where they came from.
Yeah, fair enough. So basically, they're like a 38 or 40 mil stick.
Yep.
2 sets of trebles, and they shimmy on the way down.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, and I'd have to run that on 3 pound fluoro. Well, that's what I run it on anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'd get the hit on at the end of the day. But again, it was cool to see that. I caught fish on jerkbait under boat, like 50, 60 mil jerkbait.
Wow.
Like they were there and they were engulfing lures left, right, and center. So when it looked like a lot of people went up the Lane Cove in the morning, I was thinking people are going to come back with fish. Like, because the day before they were there.
Yeah.
They were there. Every boat I pedaled past, and I pedaled all the way back up underneath the bridge, right at the back. So it's not like I only did the first couple of boats. And they would fish the whole way up that system and the whole way back out.
Wow.
So it's just weird that in one day, how much it can change.
It definitely changed. I mean, I did fish up the Lane Cove. I didn't see a brim except for the ones I caught.
Yeah. If you look at my Facebook, I put a photo up and there's like one side of a boat with like 20 brim on it.
Wow.
Yeah. That was from the Lane Cove. And I took video the week before down at Gladeville, same thing. They're like 8 or 9 brim. And some of them are really good fish. Like they're 40'd under there, they're just eating away.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to present your lure to them in a okay fashion for them to even consider it.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing which you said about being on the sunny side of the boat, I think if you're fishing creeks or stuff, yeah, you definitely want to be in the shady side. But if you're fishing boats, I think sometimes it's better for them to see that your lure come down and they get a silhouette of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just as sometimes as effective as the shaded side.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, there were many fish I would spook. They were not shy, but then they weren't like very active to it.
Sure.
And sometimes I'd cast at them on the sunny side. They'd look at it and would like, no. And you'd roll around to the shade and there they were. And then they'd eat it on that side. And sometimes they'd eat it straight away. Like, it was just weird. But I noticed nearly all of them were on the sunny side to begin with.
Yeah, okay.
And I reckon they were just feeding in the sun, sunbaking, because that the side was warmer.
Yeah, it could be.
But come comp day, I did not see a fish on a boat.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So, but in saying that, I was fishing places where I couldn't see anyway, like up between pontoons and boats and like as far as I could cast up.
Yeah.
So, It's a different day, different time. It's funny how it worked.
Exactly. But you still got them. So you got it.
I did.
So almost enough for the win, but good enough for a good result.
That's it.
All right. I think that covers the fishing pretty well. What did you get to take home for second place?
It's over there. $600 and a new rod, and then $100 for a big brim.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's like winning a round. How good's that?
Yeah, pretty well. Yeah, 100%.
100%.
And like I got asked how many times, like, you're only half a centimetre off the win. And I'm like, at the end of the day, the win for me was the extra $100. And it's like, it is what it is. What do you do?
That's good.
Yeah.
Like we said, you get to take home a rod. I think it's always nice to take a rod.
Yeah. And it actually, I'm a diver guy.
Yep.
And it actually feels really nice. Like,
I like it.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll use it yet. It's just too short for me.
Yeah, sure.
But we'll see how it goes. It'll be a good bass rod, I reckon.
Yeah, I was going to say there's always a day for that sort of stuff. I actually, like I said, I was impressed with the rod that I was given for, I think, 5th in Angler of the Year, which I'm pretty appreciative of, and it was a nice rod. So I appreciate that from Shimano.
Yeah, I think you got a different rod to us, though.
I don't know. What I do know is I can't pronounce the names.
Yeah, me either.
Very good. All right, mate. Last thing before we head off, as always, mate, is there anyone that you would like to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
I do everything myself, so it's a bit of a one-man band here. But just the boys that I've shared accommodation with over the Hobie series and all that, they know who they are, and they've kept me going this year. This coming year, I don't think I'll be fishing the Hobie. Just I can't really afford it and allocate the time to it with work and that. But Steve from Tackle Addiction always helped out if I need anything. There's that many times where I've messaged him and I'm coming past for work and that, and he'd got stuff ready or had things ready, or I've petted him and he's been good. So, but yeah, other than that, it's a one-man band, I guess.
Yeah.
I just spend way too much time on the water. That's all.
Well, it's been a great season. The only thing that was missing from this one was catching brim on stealth blades.
Yeah. I didn't throw a blade. I haven't thrown a blade since winter.
Yeah.
And I'm not a blade fisher. I hate it.
Yeah.
All I want to do is go throw bent minnows for surface for a brim.
Well,
so
we're coming into the right time of year, mate.
Oh, it's already the right time of the year. That's why I would mad disappointed when they moved Cooter. That was the only reason I would go down to Cooter.
Yeah. To
throw bent minnows, and that's why I was like, no. I just pulled out at the last minute because I was like, no. Not what I wanted to go do.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'll tell you what, they did. I don't think I threw a bent minnow, but there are a few guys got them, but not in numbers. So.
Yeah, not in numbers. It could go to fit the flat and watching fit climb all over a bent minnow. I think it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The last 4 nights, even tonight I've been out. I only just got home.
Yeah.
Fishing for bass and surfers every night has been good. I love it. Best time of the year.
Fair enough. All right, Josh, mate. It's been great to talk to you again. Congratulations on a great year, and hopefully we do get to talk to you next year.
I'm sure you will. We'll see how that year goes, but we can only hope.
We can hope, mate. All right, thank you again.
Yeah, see ya.
All right, if you're in the market for a new fishing kayak or looking to make some upgrades to your existing kayak, or possibly looking at kayak fishing tournaments, then HWS is the place to go. They have a full range of Hobie kayaks, stock the latest kayak accessories, and are really dialed in when it comes to the best kayak fishing setup for the casual fisher and the tournament angler. hws.com.au, online or in-store at Shop 3/638 Pacific Highway, Belmont. James offers free delivery on Hobie kayaks across all Greater Sydney, Central Coast and Hunter. Now, a couple of things. So what I have noticed is the Hobie Lynxes have been walking out the door. I did manage to pick up another Lynx the other day. I haven't had it for a little while. And just the ease of transporting this, just moving it, even though I don't have to lift it that much, just moving it around makes this kayak stand out from a lot of the other yaks. It's quite fast off the mark and has a really shallow draft. Very cool kayak for anyone that weight's an issue for. This is going to be the kayak for you. Super fast, super fun to use, and I am noticing a trend with not all, but some kayak fishing tournament anglers jumping out of their Outbacks, PAs and what have you, jumping on the Lynx and using those for everything. So if that's something you're looking at, get on to James at hws.com.au and he'll sort you out. Okay, so finishing up in first place, he was Angler of the Year. He had 3 large fish. He had a 36.5, a 35.5, and a 39, giving him a total of 111 centimetres. I'd like to welcome back to the Bream Fishing Project, Corey Lean. Welcome back, mate.
Thanks very much, Deethy. Thanks for having me again.
Mate, you've won the Angler of the Year and you've won the final. How good a year is that?
Yeah, it certainly ended well. I felt like my Achilles heel all this year has been consistency, and the latter half of the year has been pretty good in terms of that. So, it's nice to come home with Angler of the Year and then top it off with the win at the grand final.
Exactly. Mate, if you're going to win any round, this is the one.
Yeah, that's right. It's the only one I won, so I'll take it.
Yeah, how good is that? All right, mate. Let's roll into our normal sort of format. Mate, how about pre-fishing? Did you get a chance to have a look around?
No, I didn't, no. Yeah, just the night before, I slept at the boat ramp, and that was the first time I sort of did any kind of research. Just opened up the Active Captain app from Garmin and had a look at a bit of the topography of the harbour and where I wanted to fish, and that was about it.
Right, okay. All right. So then when was the last time you were on Sydney Harbour then?
Whatever our last round was for the AFT, actually, was it the Parramatta River round? I think it might have been the Para round, yeah.
Parramatta River, yeah. Yeah, okay, cool. So it's been a while. And a bit of a season change as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, much warmer yesterday.
Much warmer, no rain.
Yes, that was nice.
Fair enough. All right, mate. Now, I know you had a pretty good day. Tell us what was in your mind, what was your plan, and how it actually played out.
Yeah, so, like I said, just laying at the ramp the night before, I sort of come up with a little bit of a game plan as to what I was going to do. In the past, I tend to find myself getting a little bit distracted. I'll always have a plan, and then I'll go past a nice-looking bridge pylon and can't help but veer off to it or something like that. So, this time I just sort of made note in my head to just have a little bit of a plan set out and a bit of a run. And, the first stop was going to be Snapper Island, which is there's this one little jetty off Snapper Island on the way over towards Iron Cove Bridge. And, pulled up there, first cast, pitched a crab up against the edge of a pylon there and dropped it down a pole. It's about 5.5 metres of water and, bang, first cast straight on. Got a little bit excited and then quickly realised that there's a bit of an omen to catching a fish on the first cast and thought, oh, no. But anyway, no, it turned out to be okay. But, I think it was only like a 29 tip, something at that stage. So I was happy with that. Just one for the bag straight up.
Exactly. Well, first cast, because not everyone found it that easy yesterday, so definitely a good start.
Yeah, and as I just sort of mentioned before the interview started, I think that fish was at 11 minutes past 6. So, good 10-minute paddle over there. That was okay.
Mate, I was just pedaling at that point.
Yeah. Well, the next one came from there. I actually stayed there for probably 10 minutes or so and just sort of cast around the island and threw some cranks up into the shallow as well. But, had nothing. So I ended up moving my way to the next spot, which was, it's basically I think it's a Birkenhead Point marina. I just wanted to fish the outside run of floating jetties there basically until you make your way up to the Iron Cove Bridge. So, just sort of kept throwing crankbaits and some plastics at at those jetties. And then, I think I got three or four more fish just along there. They all ended up coming on the cranker crab. I ended up switching over to the light cranker crab pretty early on. I had the active target going and I could see basically just the speed at which the crab was dropping, and the fish would sort of turn and get a glance at it and half make a lunge at it, and then just like they couldn't be bothered chasing it, turned around and went back up. So they were high up in the column, but the crab was just dropping out of their face a little bit too quickly. So ended up making a switch to the light, just using the olive and a black one, not the UV, just a plain black.
Okay.
And got, I don't know how many fish it was along there, probably, 3, 4, 5 maybe fish along there. I think that was where my first bigger one came from, the 36.5, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that came right up just off a pole that was off the edge of those jetties. So.
Yeah, right. Right, okay. So at what timeline do you reckon we're at with the 36.5?
Yeah, so so I'll have a quick look at my fish as I've got you on the phone. First fish was 6.11, second fish was 6.55, then 7.16, 7.18, 7.29, and then so that 7.29 was the 36.
Nice. You'd be feeling pretty good. You're pretty early into the comp and you've already caught a couple of bags and got at least one decent one.
Yeah, I got the bag really early, which was good. But yeah, there wasn't any size to it. So to get that 36 in there was somewhat of a kicker. Yeah, not too bad. I was happy to get that one in there.
Okay. All right. So once you finished the pontoons, where'd you head off to?
Yeah, so the next planned stop was going to be the bridges, just at Iron Cove there. In the past, there's been a lot of good fish caught off there. So I thought, that'd be a sure thing, if I'm honest. But yeah, I didn't get a touch.
Ouch.
Yeah, I sat there I was only there for probably 25 minutes, half an hour max. And then I just really wasn't feeling it for whatever reason. But yeah, just throwing crabs, mussels. That was the heavy crab again on that pylon, and mussels. And yeah, I even threw some vibes like lipless crankbaits, TN38s, trying to get a bit of a reaction bite.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing. So yeah, I moved away from there pretty quickly.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. So moving away from the bridge, where's your next spot?
Yeah, so shot through the bridge into, I don't actually know what that bay is. Is it Canada Bay? The one behind Iron Cove? Anyway, go under Iron Cove Bridge and that bay that you end up in, that's the one. So went to I guess it's the south side of that. There's a bunch of boats. Went straight into there and just started fishing the edges. I was throwing just a few crankbaits up against the edge, and all I got was a couple of small tailors. So I moved a little bit deeper into the boats, started crankbaiting boats. I actually didn't get anything out of that particular set of boats. So I moved away to the island in the middle of that, we'll call it Canada Bay, I think it is.
Yeah, I think you're in Rhode Island maybe.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah. So I went over there. That was the next sort of thing I wanted to try. And yeah, as I was pulling up there, another angler had just left. So I didn't actually stay there for too long, just a few quick casts on the edge, and then moved away to the northern side of Canada Bay, to where there's a whole heap of moored boats there, a little bit deep. They were a bit shallower as well, which was good. They were probably 2-3 metres of water there. So yeah, just started cranking those, and ended up getting a few fish off the boats just using a atomic shad 40 in the muddy prawn colour.
Yeah,
just really slow rolling it along the edge of the boat. So basically, I'd go side onto the boat, throw the crank so to go just past the mooring rope, and then I'd open the bail arm, just swim to the back of the boat, and then basically pull the crank underneath the boat.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that was on 3 pounds straight through.
Okay, so were your lures tuned at all?
No, they weren't tuned, but it was effectively me tuning them without tuning them. Like I was able to make them swim under the boat because I was swimming sort of to the other side to the back of the boat, but to the other side of which I'd cast.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So I was pulling it on a 45 degrees straight underneath the boat.
Wow. Okay. Do you lose any lures on the hulls?
No, I got one hooked up, but managed to get it back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky. So they didn't lose anything actually, which was nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And cranking the boats like that, what fish did you catch?
Just a lot of bream, a lot of small ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I got one flathead, which was weird. I was in 3 meters of water, but anyway. And yeah, mostly just bream, but yeah, just around that 29 to in between 29 and 32 centimeter range with the tip. So yeah, no upgrades, so to speak of, but yeah, was getting fish, and I just thought I'd try and get through the numbers to find the bigger ones.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So moving on from there.
Yeah. So that's where the two bigger ones came from anyway, was that bunch of boats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one of them came, I think it was the 35 or 35 and a half, whatever it was, centimetre one. That was on that atomic crank shad 40 mil. Yeah, that was just on one of the boats there. One of the small boats, like a little trailer boat that was tied up, just was absolutely loaded with fish. And yeah, just cast it in there and did what I was saying, and yeah, managed to hook that one there. So yeah, and then moved on just to a few other boats in the area. I was throwing some different plastics and whatnot as well. I was throwing Naughty's new Skimp 70 around, which was good. Got a few fish on that, but I found that I had to really just let it sit there for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So one of them I got, they would have been sitting there for 30 seconds with the bail arm open, and I was just sitting there staring at me reel and waiting for any kind of movement. And then, yeah, by the time I actually got the fish in, it had well and truly engulfed the lure. So, yeah, it was quite effective actually. Nice lure. But yeah, and the big one, yeah, pitched what was that on? That was an aqua, Eco Gear Aqua. Yeah, so that was the 39. Yeah, so that was just a matter of just pitching it at the basically the middle of the boat actually. Just let it sink down, and yeah, it just took a long time for them to hook up. It was like they just followed it all the way to the bottom and looked at it for a while and then ate it. So
wow,
yeah,
interesting, mate. It sounds like you caught a stack of fish.
Yeah, I did. I think by the end of it, probably a dozen or so, thereabouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty productive day. I didn't think I'd done enough to even really, I don't know. You never know with those comps. There's always someone who brains them when you think you've done well. And yeah, I was surprised. I didn't think 111 centimetres was going to be sufficient enough to not even podium, to be honest, let alone take the win. So
yeah. Now, it turns out that maybe it was enough to take everything, which was pretty good going for you.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Oh, very good. Very good. Okay, so in terms of your rigs, you're running a 3 pound on the cranks. What were you running for the crabs?
As bad as this is going to sound, I'm not actually 100% sure. Whatever I had on at Malakuta is,
Okay.
I think it was either 4 or 5 pounds.
Okay, so not
yeah, it was quite light. Yeah, no, I just thought I'd start light. If they were biting and breaking me off, then I'll go a little bit heavier, which isn't normally my approach, especially with crabs. But yeah, I didn't tend to lose anything, so I was fine. But yeah, so 3 pound on the cranks, yeah, and 4 or 5 pound leader on everything else.
Yeah, okay. And favourite rod for the day?
It was a bit of a mix actually. So the crank rods, I was using the Samurai Eggy rod, which is their squid rod. A little bit of an unusual rod to be using for cranks, but I've just found that, like I think I mentioned last time we spoke, for the Woolooware Bay round, the Georges River round, I can put a little bit of hurt on them with those rods because they just basically fold in half and the rod does the work rather than those little hooks. So, yeah, beautiful rods for cranking, actually. It's only a recently found thing for me, even though I've had the rod a long time. But, yeah, it's a beautiful rod, 7'6", and loads up nicely with a fair amount of drag. The crabs, I think I had a 4 to 10 pound Samurai Infinite. That's only 6'9" rod, a little bit shorter than I normally use for the crabs. But, yeah, didn't have any drummers for that, so that was quite nice. And the plastics, I was using the brand new Samurai Reaction. That's a 4 to 10 pound as well. Okay. But that's the one that's only, I think it's in shops. Either way, it's brand new. So, yeah, it's really, really nice rod. Bit of a slower taper than what I'm generally used to. But, yeah, getting used to it and it's got a lot of pulling power, enjoying it.
Yeah, very good. Very good. All right, mate. I think that covers the fishing pretty well. Well, tell us two things. So, first of all, what did you get for being Angler of the Year? What did you get to take home?
Yeah, thanks to the guys at Shimano. They supplied a 2500 Vanford reel. And I also got it's going to be, yeah, you're going to get me here with the, you can see you smiling because the name of it, I think it's Artiesta, is it?
It might be.
Yeah, we'll call it that. I think it's a Shimano Artiesta 7'6" ultralight rod. So, yeah, very generous from those guys. And there was also another one given for the win yesterday as well. So, and also a lovely trophy that the boys organised, which was great.
Very good. And you must have got some cash.
Yeah, for the win yesterday, not for the Angler of the Year, but for the win yesterday was an $800 check and some obnoxiously large novelty checks that I made and ended up with one. So that's on me.
They were very big, mate. I took my fourth place one and took it to work, and it'll be at work for a couple of days.
Yeah, they were pretty large, 1,200 by 600 or something. I think they were. So
yeah, ridiculously large, but kind of fun. And I did like the fifth place one.
Yeah, no, Glenn, I'm sure would. I hope pink's his favourite colour. If it wasn't, it might be now.
Fair enough. All right, mate. I reckon that's a pretty good wrap up. Before we shoot off, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to? Yeah,
thanks. Just again, I'd just like to thank the team at Froggies Offshore, Samurai Rods and Atomic Lures. Yeah, they've been kind enough to come on board this year and give me a few new rods, and yeah, it's been great so far. So, like I've mentioned, used Samurai rods now for the last few years, and that's just been off my own bat. So, really believe in the product that they have, and yeah, it's a no-brainer when they asked me. It was definitely to come on board. I was jumped at the opportunity. So, and just big thanks to my wife as always for tolerating these events, going out and leaving her at home with the kids on a lot of weekends throughout the year. It's a big ask. So, yeah, definitely appreciate it for that.
Definitely, and I've had it on good authority that she took all the money, so it's all good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the case with everyone, I think. But
Fair enough. Not a bad trade-off.
No.
All right, mate. That is brilliant, mate. Congratulations on a fantastic season. and good luck in the Hobies up in Camden Haven in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Stevie. I appreciate it, mate.
Thank you. Okay, so there you have it for the angler interviews. I hope you enjoyed that. Look, it was a good round. I ended up in fourth place with 102 centimetres. So a decent amount behind Bennett. He was 108.5. But the main thing, I was definitely above Carl, who was... Anyway, I beat Carl. How good's that? The other thing I would remind you that there was an angler that messed up on the time and it cost him. I think he would have been placed higher than me. Basically, he used his sounder, I think, as his time, and his sounder was an hour out. So consequently, he came in too late and was disqualified. Now, what I would point out about that is a lot of mistakes like that. I've made plenty of mistakes. Not so much with time, but I know over in China, I bought the wrong species back. I measured things incorrectly, did heaps of mistakes, but it is definitely a tough pill to swallow when it happens. So, mate, commission, you know who you are, and so do a whole bunch of people, but, commiserations, buddy. We'll see you next year. Anyway, with the action fishing tournaments, they have already started. They started back in December down on, that's right, they're in the Harbour again. We've been down to the Georges River, and the next round is in a couple of weeks. They're up to Pittwater, so it's definitely something to look forward to. In other things to look forward to, we are fast approaching the Bem River round, so it is going to be a cracker. Now, they've lined it up with Gippsland Lakes before it was going to be Lake Tyers, but they've had to move it through to Gippsland because I believe that the conditions haven't been great out of Tyers. So we had a bit of a discussion on the Zoom meeting with the collective the other night, and some of the locals from down there gave us some tips and hints about what you might do or might not do down in Gippsland Lakes. And let me tell you, there is a lot of options. And it was a great discussion. Even for me, who's probably not going, it was really interesting to see these guys talk about what looks like an absolutely awesome location down there at Eagle Point. So if you're keen to have a listen to that, you're going to need to jump over to the Bream Fishing Project Collective. So it's breamfishingproject.supercast.com and get yourself sorted over there, and then you can replay the Zooms and see everything that went on over there. All right, we're going to wrap it up for there. We'll talk to you probably tomorrow on the Bream Fishing Project.
Thanks for listening. Hopefully you were informed, inspired and entertained. If you were able to learn something or just enjoyed listening, please consider subscribing and rate us on your favourite podcasting platform.